Hi, I'm Jerry Brainum. I'm once again here for the Generation Iron Fitness Network to answer questions submitted to Generation Iron by viewers. And I'll just get right to it again, as usual. I'm going to once again, this is me reading exactly the question as I received it. And the question is, hello, I'm 26 years of age, going to start competing in bench press next week, Canadian Nationals. It's doping tested, so I'm wondering, is there a supplement for strength gains like creatine? Especially cover the hype about laxoginin, please. Thank you. Okay, let's first discuss this stuff called laxoginin. Uh, Laxogen, okay, what is it? It's basically a heavily advertised supplement that's being touted on websites all over the place. What is laxoginin? Laxogin is a plant steroid. It's classified as a sapogenin from a smilax species. Now, I had an experience years ago with a smilax product. I was researching an article way back in the mid-'80s, around the time of the 1904 Olympic Games, and I was told to investigate a supplement that was supposedly a huge testosterone-boosting natural substance called Smilax officinalis. And I went through this kind of thing. It looked like it was out of a spy movie. I had to find this surgeon who wouldn't give me his name, who was out of Boston, who was the leading researcher, and he refused to give me any solid information. So I kind of looked it up on my own, and I found that Smilax officinalis is kind of like the plant name for root beer. So it turns out that, while root beer tastes good, this stuff actually had no activity whatsoever, which explained the reluctance on the part of this so-called surgeon. But anyway, this stuff here, laxogen, is basically a plant steroid. It's a sapogenin from a smilax species. And in the ads on the internet, they like to compare it to brassinosteroids, which are plant steroids. Now, I have actually written about brassinosteroids. I wrote an article in a bodybuilding magazine a couple of years ago, because brassinosteroids actually have some potent biological effects which actually could be comparable to some oral anabolic steroids. It's still kind of in an experimental phase, and you won't actually find brassinosteroid supplements, because at that time, and I think this still holds, this stuff cost thousands of dollars per kilogram. To produce a actual supplement that contained genuine brassinosteroids would cost several $100s per bottle, far more than even oral anabolic steroids, so obviously they're not sellable. Now, in the ads for laxoginin, they're comparing laxoginin to brassinosteroids. They're calling it brassinosteroid analogs. This is actual biochemical fiction. They're the only relationship between laxogin and brassinosteroids are that both of them are sort of kind of like plant steroids, but one of them has some fairly good documented evidence, meaning the brassinosteroids, whereas laxogin, everything is based on a 2011 mouse study. There is absolutely no human studies to prove that this stuff is anabolic. Now, the ads on the internet like to compare it to the oral anabolic steroid Anavar or oxandrolone, on the basis of comparable increase in muscle protein synthesis of 200%. Now, where they get this figure, I don't know. It could be from that 2011 mouse study, but there's no evidence for this, and I can warn anyone watching this, anytime you see an ad for any supplement where they're comparing the supplement to actual anabolic steroids, that's your red flag that it's probably a fake. Because let me give you a flat statement. There are no over-the-counter supplements that equal the muscle-building effect of anabolic steroids. None, zero. So right away, that raises a red flag. Laxogen is very poorly absorbed orally. And as I said, there's no human evidence for it, only anecdotal bro science. Where people are going on these various forums and talking about all the size and strength gains they made. You don't know if these are company shills from the company, the people that are producing this stuff. You have no idea, because these people usually don't even list their actual names. So that's anecdotal evidence. It doesn't mean a thing. And then there's the placebo effect, where if you take something, you think it's going to work. Sometimes it doesn't. But the truth is, the actual substance is not really doing anything. You're doing it yourself by your belief in the substance, right? Now, as far as the second part of the question, what supplements will work for actually producing short-term strength gains? What I recommend is Very simple, very cheap. Caffeine. Ingesting at about 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight, or that's about 5 cups of coffee for a 200-pound man. You take that about 2 hours before a powerlift meet. It'll probably make you stronger. Another thing I wrote about in my Applied Metabolics newsletter, www.applied metabolics, I wrote about a new technique involving swishing quinine in your mouth. You just swish it in your mouth. It instantaneously increases muscle power. The dose is 20 milligrams. For the details of how this works, I strongly suggest you subscribe. It's too lengthy to discuss here, but there's a full article on it in a recent issue of my Applied Metabolics newsletter. Another possibility would be taking beta-alanine. Beta-alanine is converted in the muscle to carnosine, which kind of decreases acid production in muscle. It can increase workout intensity, and if you've been taking a dose of about 6.4 milligrams a day for, let's say, about a month, it probably will also increase muscle strength and power. Not very much, but it can help. I suggest not ingesting more than a gram of beta-alanine at a time, because it produces a thing called paresthesia. It's kind of a tingling feeling in the skin that some find uncomfortable. And the final thing I'd recommend is creatine, 5 grams a day. Taken consistently, it will also add to the strength effect. Of course, make sure you're hydrated, and make sure you've had some carbohydrates to give you energy, a couple hours before, about 4 hours before the meet. All of that stuff will help. If you want any intensive information, in-depth information on nutrition, exercise science, ergogenic aids, anti-aging, hormonal therapy, and other subjects, I strongly suggest you subscribe to my Applied Metabolics newsletter, www.appliedmetabolics.com. And also, if you want a really good friend, somebody that loves you like nobody else, adopt a dog from a shelter. Thank you. Goodbye.
I was part of when Sean said he was going to come back. It's back when I was living in LA, and he was training to come back and compete. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're not going to be able to do it. And he's like, yeah, I am. So he was training hard, cardio and everything. I said, you know what, Sean? I go, that's all easy. It's all great to look good in clothes. It's great to diet and everything. I go, but trust me, bro, when you got to go back into that mental mind frame of those deep and dark places in that diet where you're going to have to take your clothes off, I go, that's when you're going to find out who you really are. And he couldn't do it.